Colorado conducted practice number 10 of the spring, 2/3 of the way through, and this is the first time we've seen Mel Tucker frustrated with this team.
Yeah.
He was clearly disappointed in the effort they showed, especially early on during Monday's practice.
Yeah, and you're right, it's the first time we've seen it in kind of every practice. I'm really excited with the way these guys work and all those things. He came out today and was like, I'm really disappointed in today. And he had mentioned on Friday that he wanted these guys to take a step forward after that scrimmage, see how they come back from it. They clearly did not do that, and so Wednesday's going to be a big deal.
There's no Colorado fan out there that wants to hear this, that Colorado had a bad practice. Yet I think they might find it refreshing, at least, that he's going to give an honest answer and an honest assessment of how this team worked. Kind of goes back to the no excuses mantra that he has. And, yeah, it's Monday morning, but you've only got 15 of these spring practices. You want to maximize them as best you can.
Yeah, and, in some way I was thinking – I didn't ask this because I didn't know how Mel would respond to it, but in some ways I think it's almost a good thing to have a bad practice after all these good ones, just because it's good for maybe Mel to see how these guys respond to that, how they come back from it on Wednesday. Obviously, there's only 15. You don't want any bad ones, but I think that with everything going so well, seemingly, through the first 9, maybe it's not a bad thing to have a bad one and just see how these guys respond.
Had a chance to talk to Hasaan Hypolite. He's working his way back in the mix. Tore his labrum against Utah last year. Pretty much only saw him on special teams, but with Evan Worthington, Nick Fisher graduating, even Mel Tucker said he expects him to be one of their better players in the fall. Very physical player. He talked to me about the fact that this injury has actually helped him this spring because he can't just go around there throwing his body around. He's working on the mental side of the game. So he's a guy that I'm really excited to see out there because, again, he plays the physical brand of football that Mel Tucker wants to play here.
Yeah, he's a guy that you and I have talked about for over a year now that we're excited to see him at that safety spot. And it's wide open right now. And, with him and Aaron Maddox and guys that are not really full speed right now, it's going to be interesting in the fall. But, certainly Hassan is a guy I've been excited about. And, it's good to hear he's probably preserving his body a little bit this spring and leave it all out for CSU, Nebraska, and teams like that.
Yeah. You had a chance to talk to Terrance Lang. As Mark Johnson said last fall, there's no better-looking football player on this team, and he continues to really transform his body. I was telling you, I think by the time he leaves here, he's going to look like a real NFL guy.
Yeah, and he's getting there. And, as good as he looked last year, he's starting to look even better. I mean, he played around 270 last year. He's up to 284 right now. Drew Wilson told me this offseason he's a guy that it kind of clicked for him this offseason. And Terrance, said that to me today, that, this offseason he realized the importance of getting in the weight room and what he can do with it with this body that he has. And I think he's more relaxed. I mean, he was certainly seemed more comfortable in his skin when I talked to him today. I've talked to him a couple times last year. Seems like he's just kind of matured a little bit, which happens, and matured physically. Obviously, he says he's feeling great. So he's a guy I'm excited about.
You also had a chance to talk to Frank Phillip. I talked to him earlier this spring. Talked about having some doubts about this coaching staff coming in, but he seemed all in when I talked to him. Is he still kind of have a similar message?
Yeah, he really is, and he actually loves it. He said practices are actually fun, and that's a change. And he goes, they're hard, but they're fun, and he's really enjoying the competition. He's a guy that, really could have benefited from a redshirt year, and he actually said that to me, that he sort of wishes he would have had a redshirt year last year. He'll accept it this year if he needs to because he's still pretty small, but it's harder to accept that now that you've played. But he's only at around 270 right now, and they want him over 300 pounds, and so he's not going to get there this year. But do they have enough tackles there that he can redshirt? I don't know, but he's enjoying the competition and all in.
On the other end of that spectrum, Casey Roddick comes in at 385 pounds after gray shirting, and he's now down in the 330 range, which is a huge improvement in the last year from him. You go back and watch his high school film, even at a really heavy weight, he was really athletic for his size, and so he said now that he's down to 330, he's really athletic. He's working exclusively at left guard and has been with the first team now for a little chunk of time. He's one guy that maybe the casual CU fan isn't really aware of because he gray-shirted then red-shirted, but that spot's open with Tim Lynott either probably starting at center or right guard, and I think he has a chance to be a pretty good player here. Yeah,
he's a guy that Clayton Adams talked a lot about last year, that he was really excited about Roddick when he matured, and just loved the way he moved even at the heavier weight. He's a guy that's clearly shown some of that ability, and if he can do the same things at 330, 325, I think he's gonna be pretty good. He's a guy that can be in the mix for sure. There's a lot of good young linemen here.
It's funny, at the end of our video, you asked me if I had anything else after the scrimmage, and I said no. But I forgot Deion Smith is a name that's been coming up a little bit more and more. Alex Fontenot as well. Those guys, those two right now with Bo Bishrat moving to tailback, or to tight end, seem to be maybe the odds-on favorite in terms of the top two backs on this roster, with Jarek Broussard kind of being a change of pace type guy.
Yeah, and actually, Steven Montez after the scrimmage the other day mentioned those three, and thought about it and said, no, those are the three, and he kind of stopped at those three. And I think Deion Smith, though, he's a guy that you are hearing his name more and more, and that maybe there's something there that he's jumping out ahead. But Alex Fontenot with that experience as well. I agree with you. I think those two might be the two, at least right now, that you go into coming out of spring and say, okay, those might be the two.
All right, 4 more spring practices before the spring game. We'll be back on Wednesday.